that is out there in the media that people are waiting for you to say, I told you so?
Oh, those people are always waiting. And the irony of it is, I'd already been through that ringer before with Medium. When Medium came out, people weren't open to the other side and psychics and mediums the way they are now. I helped to make that happen where it became more mainstream. So Medium broke some glass ceilings there in how people view the other side. So when it comes to having to jump through hoops to prove it to people, I learned a long time ago a skeptic's going to be born every day and a medium's going to be born every day. So you stop defending yourself and you just do the work. And that's what I do. You know, I already tried going on the biggest talk show in the world and working a murder and doing a reading that she had set up for me to do. And I was very proud of both. I thought I did as well as any medium in the world could ever do in those particular readings and in that murder that I had worked. So after that, when people were still like, well, I don't know, I just realized I didn't care anymore. You know, and I say this to all people that are sensitives out there, psychic mediums, you don't need other people to validate who you are. Just keep doing the work and don't worry about other people who don't get it, because maybe they have to come back in another lifetime because they just haven't evolved yet. So I don't obsess over things like that. So with the snippy comments that people make, block and delete serves me just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, especially you cannot be in the public eye if you actually care. You know, that's my best advice to everyone too. I'm like,
Right.
when you are on your deathbed, not to relate it to you
Right.
being here, but I do say this all the time, like you better, like when you're there and you're like a shell of the person, of the life that you led, the
Right.
people you are going to be surrounded by are a lot less than you might think. And the only thing you have is that you've lived your true, authentic life. And to me, that's my thing. I just find it, what a waste of an hour, a minute, a second if you are living your life for anyone other than yourself and you care about what anybody says. And I really live by that, truly 100%.
Well, and that's why you and I are friends.
This is why we became fast friends.
Yes, because we can say anything to one another, around one another. The other person's not going to get easily offended and walk away. And so there's a freedom in that when you have friends that you can be plain and be yourself with. And much like you, I always tell people, why do you care what people think who won't even be at your funeral? I just don't care. And I
Yeah.
wish more people lived that way, because at the end of the day, if you're living for everyone else, you're failing to live for yourself. And so with Kyle and Mauricio, I would hope that the two of them actually live for themselves. And, you know, maybe it'd be nice if people would leave her alone in this moment while she's going through her dark night of the soul, whatever you want to call it, that she's going through transformation and trying to figure out who she is. I don't falter for the dinner party itself, so I don't really hold that grudge. I know what I think of her in the moments that I spent with her at that time, and her energy was terrible. But hopefully she's evolved from that and become a little less worried about how people see her, and a little less worried about being what other people want her to be, and maybe be truly herself. I hope that she works on her relationship with her sisters. I find when a lot of people separate that they turn to family, and I know they've had some issues. So hopefully she realizes that family never goes away. Sometimes husbands and wives do. So it's important to take care of those relationships.
Do you think that, well, going back to your statement for a second, I have another question about what you just said, though. I think people are so shocked about it because, you also said, I mean, this is the one quote that gets picked up, but you also said, you will stay with him and he will take care of you, which
Right.
has been happening. I mean, yes,
Right.
Kyle makes a great salary, but the agency is unbelievably huge. And I think the fact is, when you said that, as soon as the kids are bigger, you guys will have nothing in common. That's what a lot of people are like. This is eerie because it's kind of the time. And we have Portia who's still young, but I think that's what a lot of people are referring to. The kids are grown.
From an adult standpoint, Portia, I believe she's 15, somewhere around there. And in 3 years, she's out of the house. And then Kyle will have just herself to look in the mirror too. And so, that's going to be a hard time. So even though she's a teenager still, those last few years go really quickly. And then you're faced to look at your life and your spouse. And that's what I was sensing with those two, is that the romantic relationship was going to run its course. For me to have said that, when I said that, just so you understand how picking up impressions work, when I was seeing that, it means some of that was already happening. So I know that over the last 13 years, they've played, very publicly, look at how happy we are. I just would like to make the point that when people are truly happy, they don't have to work so hard to convince the rest of the world. And it wouldn't have bothered her that I said what I said if it didn't ring true to her. So she kept bringing it up over the last 13 years. I didn't. So I'm just sitting back when people are like, why do you keep bringing it up? I'm like, I respond when it's brought up by her. It's not something that I enjoy to revisit personally. I like to focus on all the people that I do help, rather than this kind of ridiculous dinner party that was filmed that took 4 hours. And I was there for somebody that I thought was a friend that turned out to lack loyalty. And I got stuck in a position of becoming a lot of the show because honestly, they're boring. They said they were going to pull the plug 2 hours into the dinner because it was boring, and that may have never aired. And I just found that interesting after the fact, because until the sparks started flying, they were going to just scrap it. And, I wouldn't have cared. Actually, that would have been a lot easier for me. So go ahead.
No, well, I was going to say, you're right. Like if someone says something about you that is so off base, you laugh it off. Like it's only hurts when it's even close to being true. Otherwise, you're like, that's insane.
Exactly. Joe and I went through that. We had every now and then there'd be an article that would come out and say that we were divorced, and we just look at each other and laugh. And I was like, I guess we're divorced. So, we've been married. This is our 30th wedding anniversary this year. So it was just kind of funny to me to really think about it, and to think about her and her reaction, and then how I reacted to somebody coming out saying something like that about me and my husband. It didn't bother me because I knew it wasn't true. It bothered her for a different reason. And so, I think her reaction said it all after the fact, personally.
Do you think even back there, season 1, episode 9, when you said it, that he'll never emotionally feel you think that she was already going through this?
I do.
At home.
I do. I stand by that. I think she was already going through this. I think she wanted the appearance of being the happy couple, and, she was an actress, and, throwing a little of that